Everyone wants a clear explanation for why Vito Bratta walked away. A single cause. A villain. Most people point to the record industry. And sure, that story sounds right. And that answer is convenient and incomplete. Because Vito didn't just leave a band. He didn't just step away from touring. He rejected an entire identity. One that most musicians would kill to protect. And once you understand that, the idea of a comeback stops making sense. Because comebacks only matter if you still want what you walked away from. Yeah, the timing was brutal. By the early 90s, the rules changed overnight. MTV flipped. Labels panicked. And bands like White Lion weren't fired. They were just quietly replaced. One week you're polished, precise, and respected. Next week you're told that precision is the problem. Vito was essentially told, stop being clean, stop being exact, stop being you. And here's the part most people miss. Some artists fight that moment. They chase relevance. They compromise, adapt, contort. Vito didn't. Not because he couldn't, but because he didn't believe the system was worth saving. By the time the industry collapsed, he was already halfway out the door. This is where the story stops sounding like rock mythology and starts sounding like real life. Vito had sick parents, and unlike most musicians at that level, he didn't outsource that responsibility. No assistance, no long-distance guilt, no, I'll deal with it later. Touring meant disappearing, and disappearing meant someone else paid the price. He wasn't interested in that trade, because for Vito, success was not measured in ticket sales. It was measured in presence, being there, actually showing up, doing the unglamorous thing when nobody's watching. Most artists treat family as something to return to after the run is over. Vito chose it instead of the run. And that decision only works if you're willing to let the spotlight die quietly. And then there's the part that nobody wants to talk about honestly. In 1997, Vito suffered a serious hand injury. Not the kind you shake off. Not the kind you hide behind adrenaline. This wasn't about relearning a few licks. It changed his relationship with the instrument itself. And that matters because Vito Bratta wasn't just known for what he played, but how effortlessly he played it. Speed without tension. Precision without strain. And once that connection was compromised, the idea of coming back wasn't inspiring. It was insulting, because he wasn't interested in being a version of himself that needed excuses. And I think it's easy for us to forget that even guys like Vito Bratta are human and need to find ways to go through life and face their own struggles. Here's the part of the story that people struggle to accept. Vito Bratta is fine. He's not doing okay. He's not holding up. He's not waiting for the right offer. He's fine. He made smart investments. He lives quietly, and he doesn't need relevance to feel legitimate. No touring schedule dictating his worth. No interviews explaining his absence. No pressure to prove that he still matters. And that's unsettling, because we're taught that walking away only makes sense if you're bitter, or broken, or forced out. But Vito wasn't pushed. He stepped off. Most musicians spend their entire lives chasing the version of themselves that once got the biggest reaction. The applause becomes the proof. The crowd becomes the mirror. Vito didn't do that. He walked away while people still wanted more. Before nostalgia replaced respect. Before the story turned into survival. And that raises a question people don't like sitting with. If someone can leave this behind and still be at peace, what are the rest of us really chasing? Because if walking away can look like clarity, not failure, and a lot of the things we call ambition, start looking more like avoidance. And the most uncomfortable part isn't that Vito walked away. It's that he didn't lose anything when he did. And then there's the fracture nobody wants to frame as conflict. Vito and Mike Tramp didn't explode. They drifted. Different personalities, different priorities, different emotional speeds. That kind of disconnect doesn't make headlines, but it ends bands all the same. And while fans were begging for a reunion, Vito wasn't plugged into the noise. He wasn't reading the comments. He wasn't tracking nostalgia. From his perspective, there was nothing waiting on the other side. So why didn't he ever come back? Because this wasn't one door closing. It was 6. The industry changed. Family demanded presence. His hand imposed limits. Money removed urgency. Relationships lost alignment. And emotionally, he was already done. No dramatic exit, no press conference, no farewell tour. Just 6 doors closed quietly, one after another. That's not a mystery. That's a decision. The lesson here isn't about the music business. It's about identity. Vito Bratta didn't lose his career. He rejected a version of success that no longer fit. And not every legend wants to be resurrected. Some of them already won. They just walked away before the cost got higher.